Batman returns to victory lane at Albany-Saratoga. Corellis gets it done on Reifenberg night. We take the white flag with a dominant Pro Stock driver in the Capital Region.
There you go, Mike. You're loved. Don't worry. Even Kyle Sheldon said you're loved.
Thanks, Dan. This is Race Pro Weekly. Hello and welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. So far in the 2014 season, Stuart Friesen has won a majority of the races and has shut out a lot of veterans from getting to victory lane in the process. Would this week be any different? Darwin Green and Bodie Bellinger would bring the field to the green in the 30-lap modified feature at the Fonda Speedway. As in the early going, Bobby Varon would be on the move as he would swing it way to the outside off of turn number 3 and 4 to try to move up. Bellinger would get in front of the one of Darwin Green and take the race lead, as now Mark Keselowski would make a bid along with Stuart Friesen as well to move up, as a caution will come out on the speedway for a number of cars in turn number 4. And also the BBL Company's car number 3, Matty D, barrel rolling 8 times down the backstretch. Let's put it this way, Apple's got a lot of work to do this week. Meanwhile, green flag comes back out onto the speedway. Bodie Bellinger and Darwin Green still fighting for that number 1 spot. As Ronnie Johnson will be on the move, he'd slide up into the top 3, getting by the BBL Company's car number 14G of Brian Gleason. Then he would go to work on the one of Darwin Green for the race lead, as the caution will come out once again for AJ Romano. Off the restart, it would be the 2 RJ powering away as they head down the front straightaway. He would be your new race leader, and now Jeff Trombley would slide in the number 2 spot as he would get by Darwin Green. Meanwhile, Darwin Green and Bobby Varon come together in turn number 1 as Varon spins and goes all the way up into the wall, collecting Alton Palmer and the 20C of Craig Hansen. Varon will have to go pit side. He would come back up onto the field with a great finish onto the race. As the green will come back out once again, it would be Ronnie Johnson with the race lead as Bellinger and Green continue their battle at the front. It would be Johnson sprinting away from Jeff Trombley, and he would pick up win number 1 of 2014. Ronnie Johnson picks up the victory. Jeff Trombley will come home in 2nd, Darwin Green 3rd, Bodie Bellinger 4th, and Stuart Friesen 5th. Lyle DeVore reeling in his track workers as the track just about all but finished before we get started with the racing action, as it would be Matt DePue and Brian Whittemore leading the field to the green in the 35-lap modified feature event. Caution will come out early as Jimmy Cottrell will be caught up along with Whittemore, Kenny Tremont, and Rich Ronka as well. Off of the restart, it would be the 667 of Matt DePue for a short while as the J&D Waste Equipment car number 14 of Brett Wright would take the lead. Car on the move would be the 3D of Matty D as he would go around Ronnie Johnson. Then he get knocked off the back straightaway and runs into Brett Wright, who cut down a right rear tire. Matty D with absolutely nowhere to go. A tough break for both drivers. Off of the restart, Brett Hearn and the 14B of Peter Britton would be on the move, but meanwhile, the Palmer Service Center car number 2 RJ of Ronnie Johnson would be your new race leader as he get by Matt DePue on the outside for the race lead. Hearn would be following, however, as he would go 3 wide with Ronka and Keselowski down the back straightaway. And meanwhile, just as that's happening, the 14B of Britton would have the race lead at the line, and he would slide up in front of Johnson and take the race lead away as the caution would come out for the 35 of Perotti, the 41 of Chris Busta, and the 87 of Neil Stratton. Off of the restart, the 14B of Britton would drive away off of turn number 2, but here comes Brett Hearn back to the inside as he would get by Ronnie Johnson and slide into the number 2 spot. But you can say it again as the sequel, Batman returns to victory lane at Albany-Saratoga. Batman hits victory lane again, picking up another victory. Brett Hearn will come home in 2nd, Mark Johnson 3rd, Ronnie Johnson 4th, and Matt DePue 5th. Bob McGannon would lead the field to the green in the 30-lap modified feature at the Orange County Fair Speedway as he would get up front early. Billy Van Inwagen would be on the move along with Clinton Mills as they try to make their way up through the field. As you see Van Inwagen can go to the outside of Mike Holka for position. Meanwhile, it will be Chuck McKee ducking under the 21 of Mills for position down the back straightaway as well. And now Higbee would move to the inside, trying to get by the 33 1/3 of Tommy Meyer towards the front of the field. Here's we're still in the early going in this one. McGannon still out strong in that 21M machine. As behind him, Tommy Meyer now going to try to go to work on the Bullfrog. Jeremy Markle down the back straightaway. Cars get hooked up together as a lot of close quarter racing in this one. As you see, Tim Heinle going to be the benefactor of that one as he would pull away from the pack. Meanwhile, a lot of cars going at it down the backstretch as Van Imwagen will go to work on the inside lane as he would try to make a move to the inside once again. Get into a little bit of a tussle through turn number 4, but he'd keep the position. Meanwhile, the 97 of Higbee would fight to the inside of Van Imwagen for the spot. And then it would be Van Imwagen going around Chuck McKee as he would have a great run, but this was all behind the 21M of Bob McGannon, who picks up his first win in 3 years at Orange County. Bob McGannon would pick up the victory. Jeremy Markle would come home in second. Hollywood Craig Mitchell third. Tommy Meyer fourth. And Tim Heinle would round out the top 5.
There's only one place in the Capital Region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there.
Despite only having one win in the 2014 season, J.R. Hefner has had more consistent finishes than everybody else. But would tonight be the night when someone would cut into his points lead? Employees at the Lebanon Valley Speedway saying happy birthday to Howard Commander, our fearless leader at the Speedway. Meanwhile, the 30-lap modified feature would be underway with Guy Sheldon and Matt Papello leading the field to the green. Cars on the move early as Brian Berger slips into the number 3 spot in the early going of this feature event. Kyle Sheldon and Kenny Tremont also on the move as they would look to split Colby Schroeder down the back straightaway. Brett Hearn making his way up through the field as well in that Fox Shocks car number 20 machine. But the car that was on the move was the Reifenberg Construction, car number 57 of Donnie Corellis, as he would slide into the number 2 spot. He would then go to work on the 10 of Guy Sheldon as he come off of turn number 4 as your race leader, as he would electric slide his way into the race lead. Meanwhile, J.R. Hefner would look to follow him on the inside in that A. Colarusso & Sons car number 74 to pull into second. Caution would come out for Brett Hearn, who had a right rear flat tire on the number 20 machine. On the restart, it would give Hefner a shot at Corellis as he would move to the inside, but nothing doing that time, as Andy Bicchetti would look to crack into the top 5 as well. But this would all be behind Electrifying DC, who gets win number 3 in 2014. Donnie Corellis would pick up the victory. J.R. Hefner would come home in second. Matt Papello third. Guy Sheldon fourth. And the wild child, Andy Bicchetti, would round out the top 5. Willie Decker would be your pole sitter at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park as he would take the race lead in the early going. Bobby Varon up on the move early as he would slide to the inside of Bobby Vetter for position. And in that green 711, that is Stuart Friesen making his way up through the field. He would get by teammate Mike Sola, move to the inside, and try to run down the 85 of Varon for spot number 3. Friesen and Varon would put on a battle, but at that time, Varon just a little bit too strong on the outside lane, and then Friesen and Varon to make slight contact as Friesen gets by him as they go into turn number 3 and 4. Friesen would go to work on Corey Wilder, but as that happened, Bobby Vetter would slow down the backstretch, and that would bring out the caution. Off of the restart, what a move by Bobby Varon, splitting the middle and getting by Stuart Friesen on the outside lane. Then he'd go underneath Corey Wilder and try to run down the 1X of Willie Decker. He would get close, but then would get pushed to the outside by lap traffic, as that would slow his pace down, and that would allow Willie Decker to run away and hide as he'd pick up his first win at Glen Ridge. Willie Decker would pick up the victory. Bobby Varon would come home second. Stuart Friesen third. Jamike Soul fourth. And Corey Wilder would finish in 5th. Colin Bogus would lead the field to the green in the 25-lap Sportsman feature at Albany-Saratoga. Joe Orlando, Timothy Davis, and Chad Miller racing for position in the early going. Contact will come down the front straightaway between Nick Anatrello and the 173 of Cody Blue, sending him to the infield. Meanwhile, Jake Scarborough gets a little out of shape on the inside as caution will come out for the 62 of Mike Ostrander, who was stopped up on the outside of turn number 4. Off the restart, John Miller would look to take the race lead as Chris Johnson would get out of shape down the backstretch, and now a 3-wide battle as Jake Scarborough looks to make a move. Meanwhile, John Miller to the outside of Colin Bokus for the race lead as they were side by side down the backstretch, and it would be Miller taking the position. Meanwhile, Jake Scarborough was on the move as he would switch lanes from outside to inside to get by Colin Bogus and then set his sights on the race leader with 7 laps remaining, the 12 of John Miller. It would be Scarborough turning the wick up on the outside lane. And with just a few to go, it would be Scarborough as your race leader, but we weren't done yet, ladies and gentlemen. Jeremy Pitts would make his way to the inside of him, and coming down to the white flag, they'd make contact down the front straightaway, giving Pitts the advantage. But as they come through turn number 3 and 4 for the final time, it would be a photo finish that would go to Jake Scarborough. Jake Scarborough picks up the win as you see the slow motion in what was one of the best finishes you will see this season. Jake Scarborough would pick up the win in entertaining fashion. Jeremy Pitts would finish in second, John Miller third, Scott Dool fourth, and Hunter Bates fifth. Other winners on the night in the Limited Sportsman, it would be Kenny Conroy. Chucky Domblewski would grab the win in the Pro Stocks. The Street Stocks would go to Bill Dupree. And the 4-cylinder single cams would be Jordan Casper, and Steve Ryan picks up another win in the dual cam feature event.
The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate.
Ryan Darcy would lead the field to the green in the 20-lap small block feature event at the Lebanon Valley Speedway. Wayne Jelly will be up on the move early, along with the 68 of Artie Collins, and he would make his way up through the field. Meanwhile, Art Collins would hit the turn 2 wall hard, collecting Alan Hotailing as well, as that would end both of their nights. You see Hotailing's car with a lot of damage on that. As we go back to racing green, it would be Ryan Darcy with the race lead. Frank Hort giving a shot at the number 1 spot as well, and then Brett Haas and Wayne Jelly running side by side for the number 3 spot. Jelly would hold up in third as Chad Jezio would make his way into the top 5. Then Jelly would slip way up to the top of the cushion, allowing Brett Haas to get by in a battle that would be shown through most of the race. Kenny Anderson Jr. would bring out the caution on the restart. Frank Horde would have his best shot at the Darcy Construction car number 21 machine. And Brett Haas would get out of shape on the next lap, collecting Wayne Jelly as Haas would come to a stop on the exit of turn number 4. Haas being wheeled into the pit area as it would be one last shot now for Frank Horde to try to get by him, but Horde slips up a little too high, which allows Jezio and Harrington to get by. All of this behind flying Ryan Darcy as he picks up win number 1 of the 2014 season. Darcy would grab the victory. It would be Chad Jezio coming home second, Jason Harrington third, Frank Horde the third, fourth, and Frankie Harper would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night in the Sportsman, it would be Ray Hall Jr. Pro Stocks would go to Paul Robert Schell. And our 3 Pure Stock winners would be Bob Palmer, Joe Landry, and Mike Eichstead. Pro Stock feature at the Track of Champions would see Randy Kosselman take the race lead up into turn number 1 and 2 for the first time. Jim Normoyle would be on the move as he would go to the outside of Gus Holner for position. His cousin Luke and Nick Stone would be on their way up through the field as well. As you see, cousin Luke going to move to the inside to take the number 3 spot away as Mark Sullivan works to the inside of Kosselman for the race lead. Cousin Luke would get a run on the outside lane, but then Sullivan would slide right in front as they'd all get together. Sullivan would keep the race lead, and that would move Nick Stone to the number 2 spot. Stone would be working on the inside lane as he would take the race lead off of turn number 4, and he would get by Sullivan. Kenny Gates also on the move as he races with Sullivan and Domblewski. Gates would win that battle, then go to the inside of Nick Stone for spot number 1, and Kenny Gates would be your new race leader. That would be all she wrote, as Kenny Gates would pick up the win in the Pro Stocks at Fonda. Kenny Gates would grab the victory. Nick Stone coming home in second, Pete Broderson third, Chucky Domblewski fourth, and Mark Sullivan would round out your top 5. Other winners on the night in the Sportsman, it would be Floyd Billington, and Jason Samaroff would grab the win in the Street Stocks. Lottie Hyanga would lead the field to the green in the 25-lap Sportsman feature event at Glen Motorsports Park. You see Justin Knight moving to the outside as Aaron Burton would go around after contact from Mark Mortensen as he moved to the infield, and that would bring out the caution for that number 26 machine. Off of the restart, Justin Knight would go to the inside of Dimitro as they run 3 wide. He'd get into Dimitro for just a second down the back stretch, and then it would be Dave Constantino moving ahead of Hyanga for the race lead as they go up into turn number 1 and 2. Caution will come out for Aaron Burton and Kyle Dimitro as that would rack the field up once again with Dave Constantino out at the front. Rocky Warner and Jim Introne would come together, leaving Introne up in between turn number 3 and 4 as that would bring the caution out once again. Meanwhile, Adam McAuliffe will be on the move along with Lottie Hyanga as they would make their way up through the field, and then it would be the 24 machine of Brian Pesolano moving up as well. Constantino running hard in lap traffic, as the caution will come out for Brian Nelson, who has had a little overheating problem. That will put Mortensen on the outside of Constantino. However, they would continue to run side by side as Rocky Warner would then go to the inside of Brian Calabrese for position as they come off of turn number 3 and 4. Pessolano would be on the back bumper of Mortensen, but they would not be catching Dave Constantino as he would pick up the win. Dave Constantino would pick up the victory. Mark Mortensen would come home in second. Brian Pessolano third. Rocky Warner fourth. And Brian Calabrese fifth. Other winners on the night in the Pro Stocks, it would be Nick Stone. 4 cylinders would go to Keith Tessero Jr. And your Empire Lightning Sprint feature would go to Don Harvey. Getting started in the CRSAs, Josh Panisic took a wild ride into the billboards and outside of the Speedway. He would be okay, however, as we would go green flag racing in the CRSA feature event, the scheduled feature event, that is, as Emily Van Imwagen would have the early lead over Scott Goodrich in the early going in this one. You'd see Scott Flammer trying to make his way up through the field as he won the held over feature event earlier in the night, but it was all behind Van Imwagen, who was riding smooth through turn number 3 and 4 en route to what looked like it would be a victory. Cars stringing out as, of course, a lot of high speeds on the hard clay, and it would be behind Emily Van Imwagen as she would pick up the win in the CRSA feature event. Emily Van Imwagen becomes the second female sprint car winner at the Speedway. Scott Goodrich would finish in second. John Matrafella would finish in third. Jeremy Quick fourth, and Kyle Smith fifth. Other winners on the night in the Sportsman, it would be Randy Sweetman. Rookie Sportsman would go to Pete Goydich. Charlie Donald would take home the Street Stocks, and the CRSA held over feature would go to Scott Flammer.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products, race to win.
Nick, I interviewed you for a story about this time 1 year ago, and I think you had 2 or 3 wins at that point last year. I think you already have over 12 this year. What's going on?
Well, I guess building our own chassis helps a lot. We could try different things with them and do different things that, if we bought one, it was what it was. We could put different springs and shocks, but we were able to do a lot with our chassis and lightening them up for that 2,800-pound rule helped out a ton. So just a lot of things that we did different, and for the crate motors and lighter weight rule, I think is helping out a lot. A lot of these guys have older cars that are still a little heavy, and I think that's what's making a big difference.
Have you noticed running your own business now, winning with these cars, has business picked up for you?
Yeah, we've been steadily busy, but there's been a lot more talk. I hear a lot from guys going up on the dirt tour races, and they're talking about my cars, and just a lot of talk now. So hopefully we'll bring a lot of business for the winter.
I know we're only halfway through the season, but with the number of wins you already have, can you label this a dream season, or do you need the championships to back that up?
I need the championships. I haven't had one yet. I really want the championship here more than anything. Glen Ridge, would be nice to get. It'd be nice to see more cars there as well, but that championship is what I really need. I mean, I've had some decent winning seasons before, so I guess this would be nice. It'd be my winningest season, but without a championship, it wouldn't be right.
What is it about these full-fendered race cars that you enjoy racing them so much?
I like the fact that they look more like a real car. But what's underneath them is, it's a real race car. It's a full-built chassis like any other division, but it's just something about a full-fendered car. I like them. I think it kind of brings interest to people that may not really be race fans as well, because they can kind of tell what they are. A lot of people don't know what modifieds and sportsmans really are, and I don't know, I just like everything about the full fender thing.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week, and with picking up 2 feature event victories in a row at Albany-Saratoga Speedway, Batman Peter Britton is our recipient. Britton is now eligible for the NISCA Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season.
That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online, www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So for myself, Matt Knowles, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, Dave Del Sandro, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.